Traders, welcome in. I have my haircut. I feel good. We have a good market. Christmas is in a few days. Happy holidays to everyone. We are closing in on the final days of the year. I have some good setups. I'm going to share them with you in this video. If this is your first time, hi, my name is Luke. I'm a swing trader, and I hope that you subscribe, like these videos, join the Discord in the description, follow me on X, look at the setups I'm posting, and you will learn how to swing trade if you have the dedication and you understand how to apply concepts. Okay, it's not a walk in the park, but once you understand it, things start to click. Okay, let's get into it. So ARQQ is actually what I'm going to cover first. ARQQ. So what is ARQQ? Well, it's a quantum name. It's made a massive move, like many quantum stocks. So a few days ago, this was at $8 a share on the 24th, on the 21st of November. Today it's at 30. So it's obviously made a massive move, like many of the quantum names. But a few things I want to note here. It really, I put on a video. I think it was on a video not too long ago where I highlighted this range here. So on Thursday of last week, it had a big move and kind of faked out. Or sorry, on Wednesday it had a big move, and then Thursday it pulled back right when the market had dropped. Unless I have mine. Okay, yeah, it pulled back on Thursday, and then Friday it came back, bouncing off the 20 EMA, showing us it has some strength. So I like this overall, right? We're focused on this range, the breakout of the range with some strong volume. Things can get really good. Had earnings, so that might have also fueled the sell off on Thursday because I'm thinking back and it's like, okay, well, FOMC was Wednesday, no? Or was it Thursday? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why. Okay, yeah, FOMC was Wednesday. That chart confused me a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, ARQQ, the point is it looks good. Right, so this is a name that's highly explosive, has an ADR of 32, which obviously tells us it's explosive, which we don't need to really, we don't need the ADR to confirm that, obviously. But I'm looking at this range, and I'm basically erasing this from my memory and just pretending we're focused on this range, right? If it breaks out of it with some strong volume, it might have a really good chance of getting a strong move. Now you have to remember that Wednesday, Thursday, these 2 days, there's just a lot more volatility between FOMC dropping a lot of the growth stocks, and then it had earnings, I guess. And I guess the market didn't love the initial earnings release, but anyway, I'm looking at this setup and I say to myself, okay, well, this has a lot of potential, right? Any swing trader looks at this and they say it has a lot of potential, right? Has all the criteria you look for. Has a big move, so obviously stock has a lot of momentum, no surprise. It's a quantum name, and it has consolidation, right? So it has the consolidation we're looking for. It's tightening up, or it's already tight, and we have it just where we want it because we're able to have a tight stop loss, and our upside is very large. So when you would cut a loss theoretically in a trade like this, it's going to be relatively small, and the winner, if this does become a winner, will be very large because it has big ADR, it has tons of momentum. So small losses, big winners. That's what we aim to do, and that's what a stock like this offers to us. So if we take a loss, we take a loss, but it's very small relative to the size of what the win would be on a stock like this. So it's a name that I really like. Definitely going to be one of the top names on the watch list. Obviously, QMCO, for those of you that are in the Discord or have been watching some of the videos, this was a great trade. I entered it at 20, another quantum name, right? You're looking for the same, it's obviously a different type of VCP consolidation, but you obviously have the tightening of the stock and then a big breakout. So I get this explosive move. I'm able to sell shares around anywhere from 45 to 55 a share, and I entered at $20. So in 2 days, right? So that was a great trade. The quantum names have been really good. Also, in addition, this name on the hourly is looking really good. So the quantum names are, the bubble looked like as if it was popping, and then a couple days ago, and now it's kind of coming back to life, gaining some strength, and this is tightening up. This is actually really nice here. You can look at the structure. These hourly candles, super nice. QMCO, might as well add it to your watch list as well. So QMCO, I would consider taking again, and ARQQ, really nice names. So overall, some really good potential in the quantum space. Let's continue. RDW. RDW, I screened for this one, found it today. It's made, I assume it's been on the screener before, but I never really liked it too much. It's made a really strong move now. You look at what it's done since the beginning of November. It's gone from $7 to 7.7 to almost 14, so nice 80% move there. And I look at it here. I mean, there's a variety of ways you could look at something like this, but I'm just looking at it like this, and I want to see if this thing can get some nice strong volume, get a breakout. Pretty straightforward. We'd probably have a pretty tight stop loss on this and see if it can run. It has some good momentum, especially recently. So names like this obviously interest me. It looks pretty good. So I think this is in the drone space, and as crazy as it may seem with all the New Jersey drone stuff, drone stocks are doing really good. So, that's kind of the market we're in right now, where people are just looking for random themes to pick up on, even the slightest bit of news, and they want to really run with it. So we have to kind of embrace these environments because they allow us to make a lot of money rather than, become perma-bulls and say, oh, this stock is overvalued, this stock is overvalued. Yeah, many of these stocks are going to be overvalued currently. They don't necessarily have revenues or profits to show for it, but in the short term, we look at the technicals and we say, okay, well, this theme is really strong. People are buying it up. Anyway, so it's a good overall setup. The way I view this might change over the next few days. We'll see. But once you get that big push in volume and what appears to be a clear breakout, we determine where our stop loss is going to be and basically just anticipate that it continues to run. Hopefully we get a big move on something like this. That's typically the process for any stock we're in, right? Tight stop loss, let it run. Tight stop loss, let it run. Tight stop loss, let it run. So, CMND, I think. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a paper. I wrote some of my favorite names on this, and I'm like, I can hardly read my writing. That's not good. Okay, that's not it. That is probably not it. Okay, no, it's not it. So I don't know what my handwriting was doing there, but INOD. I'll come back to that one. I'll try to find it. INOD. Look at this one. So let me just delete that line there. So INOD had really good earnings, gapped up big time. Even before the earnings, it had some momentum, right? So it began its move at about $15, or sorry, no, it began earlier in May at $6. It was pretty much chopping around for quite a while before it gained some momentum. Next earnings came around, or two earnings later came around, and it gets a beautiful gap up. So now it's trading at 43 per share. It was one of the top names on the watch list earlier, attempted this breakout, shook a lot of people out. And now we're looking at it again, showing some relative strength after this move lower. It's approaching what I would say is this trend line resistance, right? So to draw that trend line takes virtually no skill. But I'm looking how it's reclaiming these moving averages. See, it's getting above the moving averages now. And right, we're right into that trend line resistance. So if it gets some strong volume, which it hasn't really seen a boost in volume since that earnings date, I want to see a big jump in volume, and I want to see it break through and push higher. So this would be a really nice trade. We could, again, have a tight stop loss. This is just exactly what we like. Obviously, it's been performing really good. It has a lot of momentum. So it's a pretty solid name. I think a lot of swing traders are watching this one going into next week. BOIL. So this name was brought to my attention by someone in the server. Thank you. They were talking about natural gas, and typically for a short-term natural gas move, I'm looking to trade something like BOIL. We can get some massive moves off this, but let's look at natural gas for a second and zoom out a little bit. So you can see that natural gas has broken out of a little bit of a downtrend, right? And it broke out of it and kind of built a little bit of a launch pad, right? So it didn't necessarily break out and just make a huge move. It pulled back and then consolidated some more, and now it's trying to break out of that consolidation. So natural gas is already a pretty volatile name, very volatile commodity, and it has a lot of potential. It aligns really nicely with the technicals, and it's relatively easy to trade if you know what you're doing. So I'm looking at this and saying, okay, well, natural gas looks pretty good right now. And typically, if I'm going to trade natural gas to the upside, I would use something like BOIL. So if you look at the long-term picture of BOIL, it's horrible. This is not something you hold for more than a couple weeks. Why? Because it basically tries to emulate the return of natural gas and leverage it. And it does that by using futures contracts that it constantly rolls over. So by rolling over futures contracts, it's constantly bleeding and decaying. Similarly to if you were rolling over an option contract or a call option in a specific stock like Apple or something. If you constantly rolled it and rolled it and rolled it, you would have decay, right? So that's exactly what's kind of occurring here, where it just gets destroyed in the long term. But in the short term, you can see it actually has a decent little setup, and it'll most likely pop out of this wedge, downtrend, whatever, and get a really nice move, or it kind of already did, and starting to move now. So we can get a really nice trade-off of something like this. This is the type of name or type of ETP, ETF that can make some really explosive moves very quickly. For example, one of the more recent jumps, it went from 65 to 124 in a matter of, what is that, maybe 9 sessions, just looking at the candles. So it's definitely capable of making massive moves. It's something that I've traded in the past when there have been setups in natural gas. So I like it. And I enjoy trading commodities like this once in a while if we have a good setup. Oftentimes you also want the macro to align as well. So anyway, the Fed anticipates more inflation than previously anticipated, which, did I say anticipate twice? But anyway, the Fed is expecting an increase in inflation from their prior anticipation, so that's why they're not going to cut rates as aggressively in 2025. So that does kind of align with the long natural gas thesis. Just taking it as simple as that, right? That's not, I'm not going to dive into the macro of everything, but pretty little simple explanation there. But we're following the technicals. So anyway, ZK, next one. The EVs have been looking interesting. Tesla's performed well recently. Rivian was looking good. It got shaken up on FOMC, but it's trying to recover. And then there's a few other EV setups. So there's clearly something happening in the sector, in the theme, right? There's a lot of setups, and ZK is one of those. So it's a Chinese EV. It was an IPO back in, May, and pretty much nice little cup and handle here. Nice little cup, and then kind of developing the handle here. And you can see it, right? This has a key level at about 29.50. And in the short term, you look how it's just developing this little consolidation, little flag here. So once it could break through this 29.50 level, it could make a really nice move, especially because it goes into price discovery mode. Since it's going to break out of the IPO highs at 32. Once you're getting above those IPO highs, well, that was the second day at IPO, but the second day after the IPO. But once it starts clearing all those levels, it's basically in price discovery mode, meaning you don't have a lot of overhead resistance. At least that's noticeable from a technical perspective. And yeah, it's just overall the setup is really nice. So if it's in the right theme at the right time, if China stocks pick up and you have the EV sector doing well, that could be very, very powerful for a setup like this. So I like it. ZK. ANF was one of the top performers in 2023. This stock was on fire for a clothing line. You would think they were some insane tech company, growth stock. I mean, this stock had been on a massive tear, and it also performed good in 2020. Performed well in 2024 as well. So, and then it began to kind of just start a downtrend when we entered June, and it basically has been a downtrend since. But anyway, I like it here, rubbing up against that trendline resistance, and it's been making higher lows. So pretty typical setup, right? Making higher lows, price actions tightening up. Definitely has the potential to break out and maybe reclaim some of these June levels 194 potentially, and that could be really nice, especially if you're trading options on something like this, which I believe it's probably liquid enough to trade options. So overall, this is a good setup. A lot of potential. It's reclaiming in the short term, reclaiming these moving averages, pushing. It's going to try to push to break out of this trend line here. We'll see if it does it. If it does it with some nice volume, I would certainly be interested in trading it. TIGR, this is another China name. These guys are Chinese fintech. They're kind of similar to Futu, if you're familiar with that stock. Tiger is a name that is very volatile. I mean, I remember trading this in 21. Big moves. Big stuff. So it's gone through years of resting, doing nothing. And then recently, in September, when you get the Chinese stimulus news, or what is that, beginning of October actually, September, October, you get the Chinese stimulus news and it makes some really huge strides, moving from $3 to a high of 14. You know, that's, whenever you get moves like that, there's a lot of money to be made. So after that, it just fizzles out, as you can see. However, recently it reclaims this 20 EMA, reclaims the moving averages, and it's flagging up, right? So I like what I'm seeing here. Lower highs, higher lows. Even though the Friday candle was ugly, it still looks pretty good. And again, basically we just want to see a breakout with some strong volume. On something like this, I would really need to see strong volume to want to take a trade. But if it has some strong volume and it breaks out of that downtrend, super enticing trade, because we know that it can definitely make a massive move. I don't know if it's going to reclaim these highs, but it doesn't necessarily have to for it to be a good trade, right? It could be a solid trade, even if you're getting a 40-50% move going from going to 10, 10.50, maybe $11 a share. So especially like I said with ZK, another Chinese name we just looked at. If the Chinese theme heats up, Chinese sectors, Chinese stocks heat up again, that could be really big. Okay, we're going to the last setup for this video. And just want to remind everyone, please like, please subscribe. It means a lot, guys. And I hope this channel can really blow up sooner than later. I hope you guys are also learned something in this video. So DXYZ, this is a private equity company that is right there. They're purchasing shares in companies that are not public. So SpaceX is the most notable holdings, and that's the reason why the stock has been, DXYZ in particular, has been on fire, right? It made a move from $10 to a high of 78 in about, what is that, like a month, basically. And it's been cooling off, right? It's been cooling off. Just tapped that 10 EMA. And I'm looking at this now, and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to look for it to break out of this little downtrend it's in, little wedge pop. And from there, a name like this can really get a big move on. So I'm just looking at that, right? We just want to see a break above this little trend line here, or maybe a higher low, right? It's been making lower lows every single day. And if it could kind of break that trend, that'd be ideal for an entry potentially. So this has a lot of potential. It's a spring-loaded stock. I entered originally at about $38 or probably $38 a share. I think I took it right here. I wrote it into the mid-60s, and now I'm looking for a re-entry. It could be a potentially explosive trade. So, okay, there's actually one more, because I earlier in the video I couldn't read my own writing, but it was actually Lemonade. I thought it was a C. That's why I was confused. LMND. And it's kind of timely because it has a very similar setup to DXYZ, right? So you have a massive move, and then you're kind of just fizzling out a little bit, right? It's in a downtrend, and I'm just looking to see, can the stock break this downtrend? If it breaks the downtrend, I may not take it immediately, right? I might just wait for it to pull back a little bit and consolidate from there, and that would be more enticing for me to take, right? You're going to get better RR. The trade overall feels much higher quality once you have that additional consolidation once it breaks out of that downtrend. So anyway, those are the setups for today. Go watch the previous video. There are more setups for this coming week ahead. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your weekend.